So where is Jesus now? Take a look at Revelation 12 and verse 5. She gave birth to a son, a male child, who is to rule all the nations with a rod of iron. Her child, that's Jesus, was caught up, that's his ascension. Where was he caught up to? To God and to what? His throne. It doesn't say he was caught up to David's throne. First of all, if he was on David's throne, he wouldn't have been caught up, right? Because David's throne is on the earth. It's very clear here that Jesus is not on David's throne, exercising his authority as king. He's on the Father's throne, functioning as what? High priest after the order of who? Melchizedek. And it's not a low-grade position, let me tell you. It's a position of glory. This is Christ's final, we talk about the Lord's Prayer. We try to find it in Matthew 6. Matthew 6 is really not the Lord's Prayer because he says things like, forgive us our trespasses. So I don't think Jesus had any sins, right? So it's not a prayer that Jesus prayed in Matthew 6. It's more of a model prayer for the who? The disciples. Matthew 6 is the disciples' prayer. If you want to see the Lord's Prayer, what he prayed, you read John 17. So just prior to his crucifixion, resurrection, and ascension, he says, now, Father, glorify me together with yourself, with the glory which I had with you before the world was. So where is Jesus? It's not a low-level position at all, even though he's not yet on David's throne reigning over the earth. It's a very high position. It's a position of glory. It's a position of glory that he experienced with the Father for all eternity. It's true that it's not yet the Davidic kingdom and not yet David's throne, but you shouldn't undervalue what Jesus is doing now. We anticipate the Davidic kingdom, but he is in a position of glory, functioning as high priest, which is what we call the present what? Present session of Christ. An area of theology that's your average Christian knows very little about. Now, in this position of glory at the Father's right hand, he is still the Davidic what? Heir. He is still the heir to David's promises and David's throne. But just because you're an heir to the throne doesn't mean you're on the throne yet. Are you with me on that? For example, you can be an heir to an estate. That's your legal position. But things have to happen. There has to be a death and other things for you to actually enter into that inheritance. So just because you're an heir doesn't mean you're experiencing the inheritance yet. So Jesus very clearly is an heir to David's throne. He is still called a Davidite, a Davidic descendant. There's no question about that, but that's not the same thing as saying he's on David's throne. He won't be on David's throne until he's on this earth from Jerusalem, reigning over the millennial kingdom. And that won't happen until the tribulation period is over, following Israel's conversion. So Revelation 3 verse 7 says, and to the angel of the church in Philadelphia, write, he who is holy, he who is true, has the key of what? David. That would be Jesus. Who opens, and what he opens no one will shut, and what he shuts no one will open. So he has the keys to the Davidic kingdom. But that doesn't mean he's actually in the Davidic kingdom. Are you with me on that? Because what Darrell Bock and his group do is they find every reference like this, which is describing Christ's present session connected with David, and they're trying to get people to believe that Jesus is actually on David's throne now in heaven. And that is not what these passages are talking about. All of these passages are not talking about Jesus on David's throne, reigning over the Davidic kingdom. They're talking about Jesus as the heir to David's throne. Are you with me? They do the same thing in Revelation 5:5, which says, and one of the elders said to me, stop weeping. Behold the lion that is from the tribe of Judah, the root of what? David has overcome so as to open the book and its 7 seals. So there again is Jesus getting ready to open the seals, and he's called the root of David. That doesn't mean he's in heaven reigning on David's throne, but he is the heir to David's throne. Revelation 22 verse 16 says, I, Jesus, have sent my angel to testify to you these things for the churches. I am the root and the descendant of what? David, the bright and morning star. Now that doesn't mean that Jesus is reigning on David's throne now. It doesn't mean we're in the Davidic kingdom now. How do I know that? Because to argue that this is the Davidic kingdom is to rewrite all of the passages we've gone through in the Old Testament, telling you what the Davidic kingdom is going to be like one day. So you have to pit the New Testament against the Old and say that the New Testament changes the Old. And that's not what we believe. We believe that the Davidic kingdom is going to manifest itself exactly like it's described in heaven. And what is happening now is not the Davidic kingdom. There's not world peace and other things, but it's Jesus functioning as high priest at the Father's right hand, not on David's throne, but the Father's throne. Although he is the heir of David's throne and he will be on it one day.